former royal known as Prince Harry's had a busy week this week, dropping various bombshells along the way while promoting his Invictus Games and taking the money from Netflix. But it was this particular statement that shocked a lot of people around the world. How apparently he was there to protect our gracious Majesty the Queen. But how was he planning to do it? And now we feel we've unearthed the reason behind that rather scandalous comment. Hi, good morning, Neil. Sean here in the very heart of London. Nice to have your company today. Welcome one of all brand new subscribers. And yes, the man standing behind me, or beside me should I say, is none other than the brilliant Sherlock Holmes. This statue is based outside the Baker Street Tube in Marylebone, in the very heart of London, as we like to say here on the channel. Wonderful sculpture, in fact. Now, the reason behind it was put up in 1999 by the funds supplied by the Abbey National Bank, because their branch is on the fictional address of 221B Baker Street. What a nice thing for them to do. Can't believe Sherlock is over 150 years old. Still looks as good as ever, doesn't he? Now, I don't know about you, but to me, Sherlock Holmes simply was only really one man. And that one man, oh yes, I'm sure you already know, was none other than Basil Rathbone. And the reason why I like Basil Rathbone was he just was kind of everything, wasn't he? It's hard to pick whichever film you like. He starred in the most films, appeared on radio as Sherlock as well. But I suppose if I was going to pick one, it would be The Hound of the Baskervilles. And of course, it also starred the brilliant actor Christopher Lee. I went to interview him, by the way, about a disco rock record. I think it was a metal record he was putting out. I'll tell you all about that later as well. Another memory just popped up. What I like about Christopher Lee, though, in The Hound of the Baskervilles, he was dealing with somebody else who had fangs, not him that time. Back as ever to your breaking royal story of the day. As I say, this particular story really centres on the fact that Prince Harry popped in to see our gracious Majesty the Queen for a few nano minutes, as it's now being revealed, and then decided to go on once again national television to reveal all to the world about how she was feeling. Now, you know, in fairness to Prince Harry, he knew the questions, as I've said before, were coming up from Hodder. He knew exactly what questions she was going to ask him, and of course the response. So all of this sort of looking down, looking bashful, looking annoyed, everything is pre-rehearsed. Whatever you think, you do not sit down opposite someone like Prince Harry and throw a question at them. It simply wouldn't be allowed. The interview would be wrapped, even though that company have paid a fortune to get those few vital minutes with Prince Harry on record for ratings. But what's interesting to note was that, as you know, Prince Harry said he wanted to make sure she was being protected, and this created shockwaves around the world. From who? What does she need protecting from? And of course it created all sorts of bombshells. But here's the bigger picture, and we think we know the reason why. If you recall, when Harry and Meghan decided to Megxit a while back, they didn't like living in Kensington Palace. Apparently that was too claustrophobic and too noisy for them in the very heart of London. So, rather expensively for Prince Charles, it cost him a couple of million to do up Frogmore Cottage. They felt that they would be better placed there. Or did they? No, what they really wanted to do, according to a very good source, and as ever we have to say allegedly, was to move into Windsor Castle. That's right, they fancied that as a permanent home. Obviously that was vetoed by our gracious Majesty the Queen. There's only one person who decides who lives in royal palaces, and that's her. But now fast forward into 2022, and we recently had a report about how Catherine and William are going to be moving closer, if not into, Windsor Castle, to keep an eye on our gracious Majesty the Queen, just be there supporting. As we've told you before, Catherine speaks to the Queen every single day. What a nice thing, a nice gesture for her to do. So could that, of course, have been the bigger problem? Obviously, Harry and Meghan simply couldn't have Windsor Castle. And then they were basically saying, well, you know, if we can't do that, then we're going to try our new life elsewhere. And then step forward, of course, William and Catherine, who had been welcomed with open arms with the idea of basing themselves inside Windsor. Could that not have really triggered the bigger problem once again in Harry's mind? And more importantly, let's not forget, it's always Harry speaking about these particular topics on national television. Never Meghan, you'll notice. He always is the one that delivers the rather fatal blows. But of course they would have discussed this together. The questions would have been gone through together. So whichever way you look at it, those thinly veiled attacks that seem to keep dropping on Prince William and Catherine from his once close and loving brother show no signs of slowing up. And as we now know, Catherine and William will be moving towards Windsor, and of course Harry has decided that America is now his home full-time moving forward. Whichever way, this wonderful soap opera seemingly keeps rolling on and on. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.